This is actually a session which I'm taking in order to pop up the content which we took on 6th March. That was actually a nice interactive session in which that students are interacted very well, and we try to solve just like a hands-on training in which everybody most of the people could do by themselves. But unfortunately, what happened? That video got corrupted, and I couldn't upload that particular session in the website. So here actually I am doing a concise version of the same thing, in which actually we will practice how to use the Oslo and how we can use the different form of lenses, and how the lens will form images, and the things we will check in this video. Okay, so let us start. Actually today we will discuss with the image formation of the lens. Okay, we will deal with the theoretical aspects as well as the we will see how we can use Oslo to see the image formation of the lens. Okay, let us start. First we will deal with a thin lens. Let us see what is actually mean by a thin lens. A thin lens is a lens in which we are considering the thickness of the lens is actually negligible compared with the other dimensions which we are dealing. So actually we know that the lens will have a curved surface, and we have different form of the lenses. We can say that the lens is composed of a refractive material enclosed in a spherical surface, we can say, and depends on the radii of curvature of the enclosing spherical part. Actually we can classify the lens as various types. Okay, now the most common lens which everybody may be familiar will be like a biconvex lens. So you can see that this is actually the shape of a biconvex lens. So how we can say that, how it is, we can see that how it is encloses a spherical surfaces. You can see that actually if you intersect it two spheres with R1, this is sphere which having a radius of curvature R1, and I am intersecting the same sphere with another sphere, the radius of curvature of R2. Now you can see that the intersecting region is actually enclosing two surfaces, where one surface having a radius of curvature R1 and the surface having a radius of curvature R2. Like this way, actually we can form different lenses. Now if you just check only this portion of the lens, this is actually a convex lens having different radius of curvature at the two sides. Okay, so we can see different kinds of lenses. So if the two surfaces are like outward protruded, it will be like a convex lens, you can say. This is a biconvex lens. And if it is like this shape, like inner portion is less thickness, and the outward regions are like more thickness. This is the concave lens. This is by convex. This is by concave, and we can have planar convex, planar concave, convex or convex, concave or convex, like a different kind of lenses we can make. Now, yeah, these are things which the basic things which you people already know. Now we are directly going to, now we can see that, yeah, now we know that, yeah, already know that focus of a lens, focus of a convex lens, focus of a concave lens, everything we know. And for a thin lens, in the case of a thin lens, you consider the thickness of a lens is so less compared with the other dimensions. So this thickness of this lens we will consider it as a negligible. Okay, now we have a thin lens equation. If we have an object which we kept in front of a lens, the lens can form an image of the object, and we can form an image by the lens, and the imaging equation is given by the lens equation, which is given by 1 by 2 plus 1 by v is equal to 1 by f. This is the imaging equation given by a thin lens. What are the different parameters here? Let us see. The different parameters here are, you see that there are three parameters is given. One is u, one is v, and one is f. So this is the lens. This is the optic axis. And if we kept an object at some places, let us see, this is my object. And after the rays passing through the lens, and the lens is making an image. The image can be real, or it can be virtual, it can be erect, it can be inverted, like this. You see a real inverted image is formed by a lens. So in this condition, actually you can see that so if this is the imaging condition, the parameter as given here as, this is u. U means the distance between object and the lens, and this is v. V is actually distance between lens and the image, and f is actually the focal distance of the lens. Now we can see the various conditions of the image. We will see the theoretical aspects, as well as we will see in the Oslo how we will design, as well as how we can see the thing which is coming as a, how it is related with the theoretical aspect as well as the experimental condition or the computational condition. We can see now. Now we can see that there are different conditions of imaging, which is given by this our lens equation. 1 by u plus 1 by v is equal to 1 by f. Now consider that my object is at infinity. So what is mean by exact object is at infinity? It is like comparing with the focal distance and all the other parameters, like my distance of object is very high. So in that case, actually we can consider my object is at infinity. So what happens in the case of an object is at infinity? Now we will see that. Okay, here, so 1 by u plus 1 by v is equal to 1 by f will become 1 by infinity plus 1 by v is equal to 1 by f. This portion will become 0. So implies v will be equal to f. So what is that? What that telling? It is telling if my object is at infinity, and so the image will be formed. So what happens if an object is at infinity? The all rays coming from the one point will appears as a parallel beams. So in the case of an object is at infinity, all the rays coming from the one point will be parallel, and all the parallel beams, all the parallel rays which is coming towards the lens. In the case of a thin lens, all the beams coming towards the lens. These are all parallel beams. And it will, after refracting through the lens, will pass through a single point called the focus. So this will be the focal distance of this thing. If my object is at infinity, my image will be at my focal plane. So this is the focal plane. This is here, actually we see that it is actually all rays are parallel, and that is parallel to the optical axis also. This may not be required. Actually, parallel beams can come at an angle also. So in that sense, it will be like in that case, it will be like this is my lens. This is my optic axis. Let's say that all the beams are coming parallel, but at an angle. So in that case also, the lens will focus at one point, but not the point on the optical axis. It will form a point on the focal plane, somewhere like this. This will be the at the focal distance, but it may not be on the axis, it will be some off axis. So this is the way lens are forming image. So this is the case when my object is at infinity. We are doing all the imaging condition using a convex lens. It's a converging lens in which light rays are getting converged, and the parallel beams are incident on the lens. It is got converged and focusing at one spot. So that kind of lens is called convex lens. So we are dealing with all the imaging condition of a convex lens today. Okay. Now we can see that what happens. So in the case of a convex lens imaging condition, actually we have different parameters. So now we can see the other imaging conditions of a convex lens. So there are different positions in the case of a convex lens. So first we will draw optic axis, the middle of the optic axis. Actually, we will draw our convex lens. Now actually we can define different points here. Let it be this focal length of the cell lens. I can mark the focal length at either side of the optic axis, and correspond this double distance of the focal length, we call it as 2f. On this side also we can mark it 2f. Now based on this position and where the lens crosses the optical axis, we call it the optic center of the lens. So actually based on the position of the object, we will get images at different locations. So we can see how we will get that one. Where are the, we can first we will see where are the positions we can keep the object and where we will get the image. First condition is like we can put our object at infinity, as we told already. So in that case, actually first condition like u is equal to infinity. So what happens in the case of infinity? Right, rays will come as a parallel. So all rays will come as parallel, and what happens after reflection? Everything will pass through subject. Okay. So this is the condition in the case of a object which is kept at infinity. So the image will be at focus. Next, now we are moving our object from infinity to towards the lens. Now we can see that how the image from focus is moving towards the right side. Okay. So this is our condition 2. Condition 2, when our object is kept at beyond 12. Okay, what happens in this case? I am keeping my object beyond 12 object. In order to trace the rays from a object, actually we will trace two rays such that the crossing of the rays we can consider it as the image location of that particular point. So here one of my object is actually touching the optic axis, so that that position is actually, I can say this will be lie in optic axis only. So I don't worry about the position here. Now actually I am worrying only about the position location of this point. So I will draw two rays from the same point, and wherever that rays are crossing, I will consider it as the my imaging position. Okay, and wherever that position is crossing the optical axis, I can get to this position. So I will draw one ray which will be going parallel to the optic axis. This is actually our choice, such that we know that the rays which is parallel to the optic axis will focus, or it will pass through the principal focus of the lens. So, and the ray will, so what will happen, this ray will, after passing through this lens, it will pass through the focus of the lens. Another rays actually will pass through the center of the optical axis, optic center, pass through the optic center. What will the ray which is passed through the optic center? It will pass undeviated. So you can trace the ray such that it will pass through the optic center. I can see that these two rays are actually crossing at a position here, and you can draw the image here. So this will be like my object, and this is my image. So if I kept my object beyond 2f, what is the position of my image? The image will be between f and 2, the other side, and the image is like inverted, and the image will be real. This is the condition which we are getting in the case of an object if we kept it beyond 2f. Okay, now we can see what will happen if I am keeping an object at 2f. So if I am keeping an object, what happened? Similar way, we will trace the rays. One ray is parallel to the optic axis, pass through f, and one ray which is passes through the optic center, pass like this. You can see that, yeah, here actually I am drawing with my hand, but yeah, if you measure in a scale and ruler, and you measure and draw, you can exactly see that it will actually coincide at 2. So if an object is kept at 2f, the image, this is my object, this is my image. If the object is kept at 2f, u is equal to 2f, my image will be at 2f on the other side, and size of the image, if you measure the image, you can see that size will be same size, but it will be inverted, and it will be a real image. Real image, you can see that actually these two rays are actually crossing at a point. So if you kept a screen here, you can exactly image the particular object at that screen. So that is actually meant by real image. Okay, and you can see the size of the object and size of the image will be exactly same. So you can say that its magnification, which is given by object height, image height, the ratio of image height and object height, it will be 1 in the case of a convex lens where my object is kept at 2f. Okay, now next position is like that way. We are going to put my object at between f and 2. Now, my object, okay, between 2f and f. We will see what happens to my image. I am keeping my object between 2f and f. So as similar, you can trace a ray on this parallel to the optic axis. It will go through the focus, and another which is going towards through the optic axis will go until. So you can see that this will cross at a point which is beyond 2f, and that point actually will be my imaging point, and you can draw a image of that position. We can practice it on some scale and pencil, and or we can see whether we'll see exactly in the case of how it can be modeled in also shorter. So what happens here? So the image will be, the position of the image will be beyond 2f, and it will be, size of the image will be larger than object. It will be real and inverted. So this is the condition when we are placing our object between 2f and f. Now actually you can see that you already know in the class actually about the conjugate points. So you can exactly see that when object is at infinity, we can see that image is forming at focus. Now we will come to the next level. What will happen if the object is set to focus, where the image will be formed? And you can see from the two examples here, when we put our object is beyond 2f, the image is formed in between f and 2f. When our object is placed between f and 2f, the image is formed beyond 2f. So these are actually giving the idea of conjugate points here itself. Okay, now we can go for our another condition where we are going to keep our object at the focus point, focal distance of the lens. Let's see what will happen if my object is at focus out of the lens. So we will trace two rays. One is the parallel ray, go through the focus, and another ray it will pass through the vertical axis. Now actually you can see that this rays, the two rays are actually in parallel. So these things are actually not going to touch each other. So what we can say that this will touch at infinity. Similar to that our conjugate point concept, when the object is at infinity, the image will be formed at focus. We can see that the object is kept at focus, the image will be formed at infinity. So this image will be like at infinity, having some infinite dimension size. Yeah, the actual thing is that way. This mm, the light rays which is coming from one point is actually parallel to each other, and they are not crossing each other, such that the image will be forming at infinity. Now we can consider the other condition. What will happen if we kept our object in between focal length and optic center of the lens? So you can see that I'm going to keep one object in between my focus distance of the lens and optic center of the lens. So what will happen here? I'm going to trace the ray, one parallel ray to the optical axis. It will go to focus, and another ray which is passing through the optic center. Passing through the optic center will go undeviated. You can see that these two rays are actually diverging to each other. So what will be the conclusion? So is it will not never going to touch each other. But since these rays are actually diverging in nature, if you are looking at this side, if you are looking from this side, we will feel that the rays are coming from some virtual point. Since our eyes will detect both the rays, we will think that this is actually coming from a point where it is originated. So you can extrapolate and get a virtual point, such that we will think that there was some big image, or there was some big object here from where actually this light rays are coming. So actually there is no such an images exist, but we will feel that this is coming from a virtual image. So if you have kept an object at a position where in between focus point and the optics center of the lens, you will get a image, and you can see that this image is like a virtual, and it will be like larger, and it is a virtual image and larger image, and it is an vectors. Instead, it is not an inverted, it is actually looking at the same kind of image, not an inverted image. Okay, these are the things actually the basic imaging concept of a, or conditions of a convex lens. Now, as we are familiarizing Oslo, we can see that how this can be achieved in Oslo. Okay, so now we are moving towards the experiments using Oslo. So actually these things, yeah, you maybe, yeah. Actually, these sessions are done in such a way that students are actually run all the experiment. So yeah, since we couldn't record that things properly, I am putting these conditions or these experiments now. Now yeah, while opening Oslo, we are going to start a new lens. Okay, I'm putting. Okay. You can see that these are the parameters here. As you people are already aware, yeah, you can put a beam radius at a particular angle, or yeah, and you can see that there is a object angle and yeah, object radius. What is actually mean by object radius? Actually, object radius is mean by the size of your object. This is a beam radius. This is the size of your radius of the your beam, and there is a field angle such that how you want to see the beams are coming, at what angle beams are coming. And here actually you can the spreadsheet starting here. Here, yeah, object radius is actually the size of your object. Thickness of the object means the first row is actually dealing with your object. So first row, you can see that this radius is actually your object size, and thickness is actually the thickness between your object and your lens. Means this is actually the object distance. You can see that the distance thickness they are saying it is like a 1 into 10 raised to 20. Means it is the thing which they are considering it as a infinity. Now it's aperture radius that actually is not in your hand, because there is no aperture in between. Actually, we are not putting any aperture. So if you want to put a separate aperture, yeah, that will be our second surface. So the default, the first aperture radius is like so. Now, what is the medium? The medium is like air. Okay. Now, what I want to do now, I am going to now it's like a I am going to put our first condition where my object is at infinity. Before that one, we are going to create a lens and see the properties of that lens. Okay. Now I want a lens having a focal length of 100 millimeter. Okay. Let us see how to make a lens. So here I am going to put my first surface. So radius of curvature, I am putting it as some 100. And thickness, I am putting it like 1 mm. Let us see whether this will be good or not. Aperture radius, I am not putting anything. So after the first surface, my surface will be glass surface. So I am using the BK7 as my glass surface. Okay. Now I want one more surface. So here I am putting radius of curvature as minus 100, and the thickness I am not putting here anything. Now we can see that whether some lenses is formed or not. So I can check here. So you can see that yeah, one lens is formed. You can see the two surface, but it is like you are not at all seeing any lens kind of appearance here. Why? Because our radius is like 1 mm, and it is only showing that kind of portion. So actually I can increase my size of my lens. So the two surface of my lens, this is like 1 mm only, it is here, that I am going to increase some 10 mm here. So the second surface, you can see that yeah, you can see the it is took a formation of one's lens. Now actually I can put some extra distance here such that we can show the how the lens, the razor passes through a lens. You can see exactly how it is passed. Now, but you can see that what is the focal length of this system? It is showing 96.91. But actually, I want a lens having a focal length of 100 mm. So here actually I am going to do a iteration, and we will make our radius of curvature as my parameters, and we will do a iteration, and we will change our radius slightly such that our focal length will be 100 millimeter. So first we have to put this as my variable. Here actually we can do, I want to change both the radius, and I want a double convex lens I'm saying. So both the radius of curvature should be same. So I can use a curvature pickup such that enter pickup from the surface. The surface is 1. So pickup constant. Pickup multiplier I'll put. So whatever the surface it is picking up here, you can see that if I change it to 95, the other will become minus 95. Okay, so I am putting 100. Now I want that my effective focal length of my lens should be 100. So I will do as we see in the class. We'll go for optimization, and see generator function. We'll go for aberration operands. We can see that there is a particular operand for effective focal length. The weightage I will give 1, and here OCM21 I want a focal length of 100. So OCM21 minus 100 I will give here comment. So what they will do, they will calculate the error from the current focal length to the 100, and they will try to minimize that to 0. So whenever it is getting minimized, that means that the focal length will become 100. So this is the fundamental for this particular error function type. So we gave this one here, and now we have to go for go here for iterate and see. When iteration, you can see that this gave iteration, and the minimum error starting from 3 to it is become 1.42 into 10 raised to minus 40. The error became so less. By that time our effective focal length became 100, and you can see that that radius of curvature is changed from 100 to 103.18, and similar way the other side is actually picked up the minus value of that. Okay, now we made our lens. Now with this lens actually we are going to do our experiments. Okay, now I am going to, now you can see that I am going to put a, here I put something like a randomly I put some 100. So now I am saying that I don't want a particular distance here. I want to know where the image is formed. So I will put a solve here. The solve, I will put the axial ray height as 0. So now you can see that 99.669814 is coming. Why it is coming at 99.66? Because even though this is a lens, but this is not exactly a thin lens, because it has a finite thickness of 1 millimeter, right? That's why it is not exactly giving us 100. So you can see that what is the distance, what is the object thickness, means the object distance is like infinity. It is giving a point at the 99.66. It is getting focused. Now actually I can see that, but I am not seeing here whether it is getting focused. That is because we didn't draw that particular surface. So go here, surface control, go general, here go for the drop. So similarly, the image also go general, change it to automatic to drop. Apply. Now you can see that the distance this is getting focused. Now actually I can introduce some beam angle of some degree. I can say that yeah, this is actually making a image at a distance. You can see at a distance of 99.669814 from the lens. It is forming a nice image. See, this is the thing which we are doing. Now our first condition is okay. We did our first condition. Now we are going for a second condition. Now I am going, and now we can say that okay. Now what is the size? What is the distance? Effective focal length is 100. So 2f is like a 200. So I am going to put my object at a distance of 300. I am not seeing my object because I didn't put the surface control as strong. So general, go for here, drawn. Now you can exactly see that yeah, here I have an object and it is forming an image. You can see that some aperture radius you can see here. This is the radius, it is taken from here, and the size you can see that around 26.24 size was there, and that size is actually diminished to 13.10670. So we can actually see that when the object is at beyond 2f, the size of the image is like you can see that 149.58. So this is like in between 100 and 200. So as we already know, this like image is formed at a distance in between f and 12, and you can see that the rays emanating from the bottom side is actually reaching at the top side. So the image is actually inverted image. You can see that rays are actually crossing each other, so it is a real image. Okay, now we want to put the object at the 2f. 2f means around 200. See? So object is at 2f, and you can see that the image distance is changed to 199.34. So like almost like 2f. So when object is at 2f, image will be also at 2f. And the size of the image actually you can see as yeah, aperture radius of the object is like 17.49, and the image size is like 17.44. The size of the object and the size of the image is actually same. Okay, now we want to put that our object at in between f and 12, and you can see that size of the image is same, the image is inverted, and it's a real image. Now I am going to put in between f and 2f. So f is 100, 2f is 200, so I am going to put the object is like 150. See what's happening. See, the object is small but the image is bigger as we see, and the as per our theory, it should be beyond 2f. So it should be like beyond 200. So you can see that, yeah, when I kept that object is at 150, means between f and 2f, the image is like beyond 2f. It's around 298.3. So like around 300, which is much above my 2f. So it's like image is beyond 2f, and the size of the image is like, you can see that this is a much more bigger compared with your size of the object. This is, yeah, you can see that 13.12 is your object size, and image size is 26.07. So it's like almost double. And you can see that the image is inverted. This blue line is going from bottom, is reaching at the top, and this actually it is focusing at exactly one place. You can see that it is like a real image. Now you can see that now I am going to put my object is at focus. So effective focal length is 100. I'm going to put the object is at 100 and see that what will happen. See, now when I am putting at 100, you are not all seeing the lens at all. I'm just showing an image distance at 3 into 10 raised to 4. It's like very far away comparing to all other our parameters. So it is the, because this is actually a real lens having a finite thickness. So it is actually showing where we will form the image. So it is not an ideal. That's why it is showing a image is forming at a very far away, but it is formed. So it's like image is forming at infinity. And the size of the image also, you can see that 8 object size is like 8.7, and image size is like 2.6 into 10 raised to 3. So image is actually forming at infinity. Okay, now we can see that I am going to plot an object. I am keeping at a distance between focal length as well as the lens. So I'm putting like my object position as 50. 100 is my focal length, and 0 is my position of my optical center of the lens. So if I kept an object at 50, it will be like in between focus and optical center. So if I kept an optical center, you can see that you can actually anticipate the image position. There should not be any real image. The image should be virtual at the same side of the lens and having a higher magnification. So yes, okay, I see. This is actually my object size, and this is the image size. You can see that the blue light is emitting from the bottom side. It is also reaching from the bottom side only. This is actually the chief light. So you can see that this image is like virtual, having the same direct image at the same side with a higher magnification. So from here actually we can see that the different focusing parameters of the, or the different imaging parameters of the lens. And now actually we can see that how we can define. So hopefully we people understand how we can use Oslo to determine different parameters from the, and the different image condition, and how to optimize the focal length and other things. Now actually with this Oslo, now I am actually checking how, what happened if I increase the thickness of my lens. So hopefully all other thing, imaging with the lens, I think you people understood. If you have any doubt, actually you can put it in that group such that we can clarify the doubt. And here actually you see that this all things actually we are done with the thickness of the lens as 1 mm. So we consider it as a thin lens. Now I am going to increase the thickness of my lens. So I am going to increase my thickness of the lens 1 mm to some 10 mm. So you can see that whenever the thickness of my lens is increasing, you can see that the effective focal length also increased. So it is like 1 mm. And here actually you can consider this. Now I am going to put my object distance at like very far away. 1 into 10 raised to 40. Yeah. So actually you are seeing the object only. You are not at all seeing the lens. Actually all the lens and other things are here. But you can see that the distance from lens to the image. This is actually the thin lens approximation. You can see that the distance from lens to the image is 99.66. So it's like around 100. And my effective focal length of the lens is 100. Okay. Now actually I want to show this. You can see that's 99.669814. So if you go here, you can actually see the parameter object distance to pp1. pp1 means it's the principal plane 1. This is actually coming we are dealing with our thick lens. So it's the object distance to pp1 is the principal plane 1 is actually 1 to 10 raised to 14. It's like almost same. And image distance is 99.66984. This is actually the same thing which we are giving here. And if you are calculating the pp2 to image distance, principal plane to image distance is 100. So this is actually like you can see that this 99.669814 is actually a approximation. Since our lens has a small thickness, and but the principal point 2 is actually coming a little bit inside, such that the principal point 2 to image, that's actually the focal distance, and focal distance as well as the image distance are same. Okay. Now you can see that I am going to increase the thickness of my lens, and I am going to solve the, now instead of, and here actually I am going to give, you can put it like I am going to put my focal length as our, for our easy calculation I will put like 200 as my object distance, so we can easily understand. So I put my 200 as my object distance. So here you can see that pp2 object to pp1 is 200.330186. So actually I am going to put object to pp1 as 200, such that it will be exactly on the principal plane. Now you can see that pp2 to image is also it's 200. So this is actually like this is a thin lens approximation of that particular thick lens. Okay. Now we can see that what will happen in this case actually when I am going to increase the thickness of my lens. So So here you can see that 199.669814 is my objective lens thickness, and image lens to image thickness is also 199.669814. What happens? Actually, they are getting an approximation of a thin lens approximation with this thick lens. So as we see in the class, it's like a thick lens. Since we took a nice lens with both sides have a symmetry, actually this is our thin lens, but they defined two principal plane in such a way that this two plane is actually PP1 and PP2 will define the thin lens approximation. That's why you can see that our effective focal length is 200, and here I selected object to PP1 as 200, automatically PP2 to image is came as 200. This is actually the image distance, and you can see the symmetry here. Object distance is 199.669814. Image distance is automatically came. It's like this is from the surface to the image. 199.669814. Okay, this is actually the variation we can see in the case of when we are putting a thick lens. So if I am increasing the thickness of my lens from 1 to 10, directly see as your focal length will change. Now focal length is 101.5. So I have a thick lens 101.5, having a thick lens of 101.5. So actually I want to make this, I want to optimize the focal length as 100 itself. I have to see iterator function, aberration operand. I will give the weightage to 1, simply 1 minus 100. Go for an select. Accepted. Go for an iteration. See, this is selected as 100. Now you see 199.669814, and again it took like that way because here actually we give it as objective PP1 is 203.2247, and if I am going to change this one to 200, what can be the PP2 image? Yeah, it should automatically change it to 200 because that's actually thin lens approximation of the thick lens. So I'm just putting okay. Let's see, that PP2 image became 200, but you can see that object distance, this is object to PP1. So this is your, whatever you are seeing is like object to PP1 is the 200. So original object to the lens is actually will be a little bit less. So that you can see here as your object distance, you can see here. So 196.647. So this is a 196.647. And after this one, you can see that PP2 to image. Here there will be some inverted image, and PP2 to the image is actually again it is 200, but the lens to image is like 196.647. This is actually we took a symmetrical lens. That's why this two lens are coming and this 2f lens, 2f distance we choose as our thing. But you can exactly see that there is like a, this is the 200 and this is the 196. There's a 4 mm difference between your principal plane position as well as the surface of the lens. So actually the principal planes are sitting inside the lens. Based on that one, this effective focal length is calculated. So hopefully you people understand. I think yeah. Today actually we deal with how Oslo can be used to produce different images and how we can design lens, how we can use the variable operands, and how to use these error functions and optimize our focal length, and some basic ideas of our principal planes and the image planes. Okay, hopefully this is useful. Thank you.